like the first feather stuff.
Ah,
Is that correct?
I can say no.
damn it. It's meetings for anybody who's interested in this stuff.
Okay. I reckon I'm interested. Yeah.
So you would say you're not past the first feather?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I'm currently doing Liberation Unleashed with
Oh, yeah.
um as I recall, I'm supposed to actually greet you from Rebecca, like with the username Grace Abounds, if you've seen that or come across that.
Okay, yep. Yeah, thank you. So how are you going with LU? Where are you up to? Have you, let's put
Um,
it another way. Have you had any shifts? Any little aha realizations?
Realizations, yeah. Yeah. I mean things like that. I've I, I feel I have all the time, and things that I would like describe as um, maybe mental health related breakthroughs, things like that. It's incredibly transformative. I would say that. Um, so in that regard, it's very giving. Yeah.
Hmm. So how would you say your life has changed since you started?
So to start with um, a very general phrase, I think it's sort of oriented a bit more towards listening than doing. Um, which um, in a more personal note is like I'm a doer. I'm someone who can't sit still much, and that's so much, very much going on still. I but actually having the trust to let things be
Hmm.
is something that really came. And in general, I think has been an incredibly healthy journey for me for like the mental apparatus. And it's a bit maybe egoic to say, but I do feel that this is all a bit wiser than um, how it used to be. And all in all to every single point I'm just mentioning, I can say you would also notice the opposite in my life, which I don't really mind.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think I mind things much less.
That's big. That's pretty huge. Yeah.
I think so too.
Hmm.
But I'm also like, at, I'm not sure if we've cracked over 500 back and forth now. My mental liberation unleash in me. That it's I'm like, and she's a saint, obviously, for taking that much time with me. But I see people having these shifts within like 20 back and forths. And of course, that's
Yeah.
comparison and stuff like that. But it is notable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I don't actually remember exactly, but I think a record with somebody I've guided on LU was probably about 75 pages of stuff over
yeah,
about,
might crack
about
that.
2 or 3 years. Yeah. Yeah.
And also, it couldn't. It feels like it is putting so much pressure and frustration sometimes seeing this. Um, that it's at the same time I don't. It's a good pace. Like this is not without. This is not coming without some burden of like confronting more traumatic aspects, maybe,
Yeah.
or unresolved aspects, which is to say, it's this very nitty gritty and dark stuff that sometimes comes up. And these days, when it comes up, it's not really easier to have like very 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 dark thoughts that kind of are addicted to spiraling, maybe.
Mm,
But there is these days this background um, reassurance that, yeah, okay,
yeah,
it's actually obvious this entire stuff needs to be maybe listened to. It needs to come up. It's that.
yeah,
So, and
yeah,
what I mean with it, it's a good pace is like having more of that. It might be, it's 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 a good measure of the dark stuff that comes up.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, there's a classic one that says it'll go as fast as it goes. That how much you need to go through, what you need to clear out, what you need to kind of come to terms with. It's
Yeah.
individual. Everybody's got their own, and I never feel in a rush to get anywhere. It's like you'll take as long as you take to get where you need to go. So there's no hurry. When you think about it, I mean, you're only young, but you've still got a lot of years of conditioning behind you, haven't you?
Oh yeah. Uh, like
Mm.
a lot of um, self-burdened conditioning, I feel, mainly is this very hard stuff on me. Also,
Yeah.
some conditioning that just, in retrospect, feels so unnecessary. But like some conclusions that we reached that were just cruel, actually kind of cruel and unnecessary.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, a lot of that.
Yeah.
I think mainly a big part of what makes it hard is actually a bit feeling sorry for Rebecca for for having to be such a saint.
Yeah. Um, don't feel sorry for her. I'm sure she wouldn't. You want you to feel sorry. Um,
Yeah, and she tells me,
yeah. Those who are guiding, those who have already woken up, don't relate to time in the same way that we used to. It's something that changes. I just okay. What's going on here? My phone's about to run out of battery. That's all. Yep. Okay. Good. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not. Time is irrelevant. It seems weird, and that it's taking a long time. Well, it has its own. I want to say the word burdens, but they're not really burdens. But it has its own implications, and you'll take as long as you need to take for it. Yeah. With that other stuff that's in you, this is a slightly tricky one, but appreciate that you're not a container that's filled up with trauma from the past. That's there as potential, and it doesn't exist unless it gets triggered. Now, some trauma is triggered just by being alive, so it can be there all the time. But a lot of the peak stuff, it doesn't turn up unless conditions get it going, activate it. So it's not a case of you having to empty all that stuff out before you wake up. This is really important. Believe me, after waking up, you'll still be discovering stuff. You'll still be going through that kind of stuff, but you'll go through it in a different way because you've lost a lot of the old habits of that kept it around. We think that a lot of the old habits are a way of dealing with it, but the result is that it keeps it going. So the
I
idea is that,
notice.
yeah. So
Yeah, also I notice.
yeah, go on.
Also, I notice this is just like maybe the recent, maybe 24 hours, that a different way of like interacting with maybe very embarrassing thoughts coming from the past, or maybe not embarrassing, but like this cringeworthy stuff where you like
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
it in
yeah.
your stomach and oh no, yeah, I really did that when I was younger. Like things like that coming up, and I always wondered, what should I do with that? What should I do with this? How should I resolve this? And like in the last 24 hours, it's noticed that this can be just listened to. This can be just um, really heard,
Mm,
and that works too. That works fine.
yeah, yeah. So a tricky one is that we tend to judge certain things in a certain way. And what we learn to do with this stuff is just recognize that something exists and not even be sure about what it is that exists. Just recognize that we have an interpretation of it. And so consequently, that's as far as it needs to go. Just a recognition that something is there, not that it's good or bad, that it has this effect or that effect. Just what is it? Is it there? So it's a tricky one for you to appreciate that some stuff comes up as a memory, and that's all. It just exists as a memory until you say, that was me. And then it activates something else inside you. So recognizing that stuff that can come up as a memory, you can go, oh, okay. So what? What am I going to do with that? I'm not worried about doing anything with it. It's just there as a memory. Full stop. You don't need to rectify anything. You don't need to fix anything. You don't need to apologize. You don't need to be sorry. You don't need to cringe. You don't need to be apologetic. It just happened. Why it happened? Well, that's another story, but that's beside the point. We don't really need to bring that into the present. It happened to you all that time ago. It's done. It's just done. It would be cringeworthy if, let's say, it was made public. Why would that make it cringeworthy? You know, depending on what it was, of course, but because we would then start to imagine how other people would react to it. Well, that's got nothing to do with what happened, is it? That's added to, on top of, whatever turned up. So cringeworthy, that feeling of cringeworthiness, that's a great indicator for you to realign your attitude towards it, to renegotiate your relationship with it. Every one of us did stupid things when we were kids. That's just the nature of it, isn't it? You know, we don't see the whole picture, so we tend to react spontaneously and react a bit too fast and a bit too much and so on. But that's just the way things were. There's no, how can that determine who you are? Especially now when we've got a question mark about, are you anybody? So the who you are, that cringeworthy stuff from the past defines, is a fictitious character. Who you think you are now is a fictitious character. That gets a bit closer to the bone, isn't it? Who you are now. It's kind of easy to see that where we were as a kid isn't the way we are now, but the way we are now is the way we are now, not who we are.
I think I want to ask you if an intuition about this that sort of comes here is right. Um, and this sort of thing reminds me of what I experienced as maybe healthy communication with my partner and my friends, where sometimes, or maybe all the time, people talk with you about problems, and then it's good. Right? They distinctly kind of feel like mostly it's just talking and listening, and that's everything's fine. If a problem comes up, just talking about it, listening to your partner, and it's fine. And like the moment you try to suggest a solution, that just yeah, but you don't get it. Oh, the conversation just doesn't feel as good anymore.
Yeah.
And it is right now, like it feels very like bodily. Oh, this I know this what you describe right now, like things coming up as they don't want a solution, they just want to be listened to.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, there's nothing to fix about them, is there?
I mean, I can live with that. I'm a good. I can be a good listener.
Mm. Which would imply that when you listen, you're not judging.
Yeah, it's is it that kind of listening, right? That we do at this spiritual path. Is it the same one we do in relationships? Even
Yeah, forget about this being a spiritual thing. You know,
yeah,
it kind of has a spiritual component, but it's a human thing. We're talking about being a human being here, and whether it's in relationship or with this kind of stuff, listening is a form of recognizing our interconnectedness.
there's I feel some of what you say. There's definitely something something behind these words. Yeah.
Yeah. So if somebody is listening, let's say if somebody is listening to you describe something, doesn't really matter what, but somebody is listening to you, what will make you feel heard is them reflecting back at you an accurate picture of what you're presenting. So in psychology, that might be called active listening. And so, in other words, you describe something, and then they describe what they think you're describing, and you go, yeah, that's it, or no, not quite. Maybe it's a bit more this way or that way, whatever. But in the end, you feel understood, you feel heard. Now, a lot of the time, that takes nothing but your active participation in listening for the other person to feel heard. But sometimes it's better to reflect something back to them that shows them that that's the case. Don't make a job out of it though. You don't need to work at this. Just listening, being a good listener, is not just waiting for them to pause to have your own say. It's much more a reflection of appreciation that you get what they're saying. If you can reflect that back to them, then they're going to feel heard, listened to, and appreciated, and it changes everything. Now, here's a tricky one. It's the same thing for you listening to yourself. And don't mistake your mind as yourself. You can listen to your mind, listen to thoughts, listen to stories that come up. But your relationship to those things is really important in terms of not being caught up in them, not being carried away by them. So you're going to acknowledge them, but you're not agreeing or disagreeing. You're just acknowledging them. The difficult thing now, so like we could say one thing, for you to wake up, all that needs to happen is for you to recognize that you are not your thoughts. That's it, 100%. That's a portal that you could use, or there are other portals, lots of other portals, in fact, but inevitably that's the result. You will recognize that your thoughts are not you. They turn up because of conditions. And a really good analogy of that is to recognize that if you were to go outside and you could feel the breeze on your face, that's exactly what your thoughts are. They're just like a breeze touching your face. They are the result of conditioning, just as a breeze is a result of conditions. In the case of the breeze, it might be high and low air pressures. In the case of thoughts, it's your history and the influences from people around you and all sorts of things like that. But they're conditions. It's not you. We frequently say our thoughts are an expression of ourself. But it can't be the case. They're an expression, but not of something that can't be defined. And yourself, if there is such a thing, cannot be defined. Yet your mind will go to great lengths to try and define something. And it wants to define it as good.
As the,
So you can imagine a good way to look at your thoughts is, let's say you've got a 5-year-old in your family. Do you know a 5-year-old that you could walk down the street with holding their hands? Just imagine it, right, of this 5-year-old. And this 5-year-old never shuts up. It's always going on about this or that. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, wow. Isn't that amazing? Wow. It never stops. Right? That's your mind. It never stops. It's a friend, but it's misguided. It thinks it's looking after you, but it has no place to look after you.
Even now I can notice this movement of maybe trying to understand this, or like put it in a certain drawer where it fits tight
Yeah,
and neatly.
but if you're a good, let's say, uncle to this 5-year-old, how are you going to treat them? You're not going to tell them to shut up. You're not going to tell them to be quiet. You're not going to tell them to think differently. You're just going to tolerate it without being affected by it in particular. See, it thinks it's looking after you, the mind. It thinks it's doing the right thing. It keeps you away from feeling discomfort. And it takes any form of discomfort as a problem.
It's
That's a big,
interesting
that's a,
because there's such a strong aversion to maybe, and right now these days my practice is mainly just sitting with aversion and what comes after that. But yeah, it's definitely a pattern here that even like very small discomforts, like what is it? Um, Donating blood, when you have this small bloop in your arm, like even that very small discomfort, like there's such a strong aversion to it, and that's in many situations a
yeah,
very strong conditioning here, also very detrimental to just generally everything. It's kind of keeping you like without any spiritual conversation. I would bring this up. It's really making you kind of useless if you are so averse to this very
yeah,
slight maybe pain.
yeah. So maybe, and it's very likely that your mind will take the slightest discomfort, add a story to it that says this could get really bad,
Yeah.
and then behaves like it's really bad even before it gets that way.
Yeah.
It's a bit too reactive, isn't it? It's a bit overreactive, the mind.
Much too reactive. Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't even know what it is sort of protecting. Like this pattern is hurtful of this intense reactivity. This pattern is really hurtful. But what kind of hurt are we even protecting from, and what is being protected? I couldn't even answer that.
Mm. Yeah, we frequently assume that there's stuff there that we need protecting from, when in fact there may be nothing there, or something very small. And it's like we remember back in the Stone Age, of course, we had to be on our guard for saber-toothed tigers and mammoths that would trample on us and so on. And
And
it's
I
like,
missed that time.
yeah, and it's
Sorry.
like in this day and age, we still have that same concern, even though there are no saber-toothed tigers or mammoths left. We still behave as if, right? Because we haven't evolved that much. We've still got a primitive animal part of our brain that looks after us even when we're not in real danger. Imagined danger is enough. So here's the thing. Here's the thing that I would say. Well, anyway, I can really only talk about myself in terms of the way I remember things, and that is that I haven't felt afraid for so long that I don't remember. I feel really safe, really supported, and really I trust that everything will be okay.
fun thing is you mentioning that you don't even remember being afraid is immediately like here it goes like, oh, if you can't even remember being afraid, that must be so frightening that fear is forgotten and could turn up. That itself must be so frightening. It's such a stupid cycle of
Mm.
thoughts that immediately comes up. Like and they're just sort of like protecting, knowing fear, so holding maybe fear so close. We can't forget it that you're always on guard against it. Is maybe the pattern behind that. It comes up
Mm.
immediately.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed talking about your experience. I wouldn't want to interrupt that, actually.
Mm. Yeah. So can you get that the way our mind has been trained, it's permanently on guard for what might hurt us. That's possibly a bit of an overstatement, but I suspect that it spends a lot of time looking after us, trying to look after us, concerned about possible implications of this or that.
Yeah, yeah, and holding like a speck or a part of this negative experience before it has a chance to occur unexpectedly, and I mean that's um, sort of creating the discomfort to remember it before it can like come after you unexpectedly, hit you
Mm.
without you knowing, like being
Yeah.
so braced against it. Um, Almost like maybe Kingdom just being always in a sort of war simulation, so they never have to have to face an unknown
Yeah.
because they will say a war will come eventually, so we always need to be
Yeah.
like in
Yeah.
the state where we know exactly what that means.
Yeah. It's a tricky one,
And
and
that
yeah, yeah, go on.
yeah, yeah, and that is also sort of very viscerally here. Like there's I can't even imagine an alternative to that. In a way that is really opening up probably to an alternative, but it's like noticing that I can't even imagine an alternative to that. That is very fascinating. So
Mm.
wow,
Yeah.
because
So
obviously that doesn't make sense. Yeah.
yeah, of course, yeah. Yet we don't relate to the obvious all the time. Yeah. So can you
Um,
get that if there is no self, in actual fact, you're not responsible for anything that happens. Now, we're talking about at a humanistic level. We're talking about at the level of the organism now. Obviously, there are consequences, and that's something that's a different story. But essentially, responsibility relies on the ability to control what happens. And if there's no self, there's no control. And if there's no control, there's no responsibility. If there's no control, choices happen. The consequence of the choice is a literal empirical outcome. It's not a moral issue. It's not that you were good or bad, that you succeeded or failed. It's just consequences. This is one of the reasons why Liberation Unleashed use the no self portal, as a thing because it's such a big one that when that's seen through, a whole lot of other stuff that could also be portals, they just fall by the wayside. So I get that. It might feel to you like a choice is made about this or that, but that's just a description. So if I say to you, think about lifting one of your hands. Yeah. So the thinking about it. So can you see why you decided to lift your left hand and not your right hand?
And just answer it felt right. The thoughts were there like, oh, should I lift my hand? And even this feeling of it felt right.
Hmm.
It's not like it comes pre-labeled with it feels right, but it's some sensation definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Some rather
Yeah.
a bit
And there'll be,
magnetic, a bit warm tension. Yeah.
yep. And there'll be things you're not even aware of that were involved in that choice that happened, not choice that you made, but the choice that happened. Right? A thing might be like, are you left-handed or right-handed? Right? Which is your dominant hand? You know, that plays a part in it. Did you have something in your right hand and you lifted your left hand because it was empty? Right? Or which way were you sitting? All sorts of things that you're not even aware of would have been conditions involved in that choice. You could even say that decision being made, although it wasn't really a decision, was it? It just happened. I guess you could see that, eh?
Yeah.
Did you think to yourself
Um,
before it happened, did you think I'll lift my left hand or I won't lift my right hand? Did you think any of those things? Or did your left hand just come up?
there's wondering, curious about. There's this minor interesting thing on the road to that end. So there's this feeling of it felt right.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, there's a sort of paradox going on there here. I'm trapped out. It's like obviously that feeling of that felt right came. And maybe the action was independent of that. But that's not really the point. I'm tripped up. It's like this feeling of it felt right. It in on itself. Um, I
So
visually don't have an answer of how that came into
yeah,
being
yeah,
because
yeah,
it would be intellectualizing to say that just came out of nothing
yeah,
and
yeah,
out of
yeah,
no
yeah,
control. That's not how it feels. It's
yeah. So
but
do
what does
you
it
do
feel
you
instead? Yeah.
do you get that there was a lot and a lot of stuff that was beyond awareness that was involved in it?
So this is probably not about imagining a lot of stuff. And in a way, couldn't be another way because of of sort of everything that led up to that. That led up to that.
Yeah. What if I said this one to you? That this is a shortcut to that one. It couldn't be any other way because that's the way it happened.
Even seeing this laptop in front of me right now, it's this is this already is um very immutably almost. There's a slight sense of this already happened. This is
Hmm.
already decided. I'm not sure if that's what you're after, but there's a quality of this immutability that I think I can just sort of allow myself to trust.
Hmm. Could you imagine that spreading to everything in your whole life? How do you react to that? What's the reaction that comes up to that one?
I feel my inner life. I feel like sensations that come with the mental image of maybe fuzzy clouds or so, whatever's felt here. And maybe this question is relating to them. Like these two,
Yep.
it's maybe the same with what I said with this feeling of just right and how this came to be. And there's a gap not well, there's a gap still under question. Like this too. I'm sure like if I'm like 2 hours from now trying to recreate what it was that I mean by this, I probably would fail.
Yep. Sure.
Uh,
Yep.
so okay, this I noticed. I'm trying to create sort of an forever solution of understanding everything again here. This is not making sense. Just to be right here and now. This immutable quality of things. This it's already done. Spreading to the inner life, the inner sensations. There's feel of almost daunting and like a sort of falling sensation, like this
Yep.
stool I'm sitting on is in the process of breaking off a leg, and I'm just
Yep.
in this second almost falling.
Yep. And you're
Okay,
quite okay with it.
yeah, it's more of a like an amusement park ride
Yep.
feeling. Maybe it's not unfun. Uh, there's some doubt occurring here. There's
Sure.
some
Yep.
maybe
That just comes up.
arguing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's also just part of what's happening.
And this quality does I describe it as solidify this immutable quality. Does it's not really rejected. It doesn't make much sense.
Don't worry about that.
Okay. I'm worried about role playing this. That is a pattern even
Yeah.
a
That's
bit
fine
stronger
too.
than yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're on a slippery slide to discovery, and we can't predetermine anything.
I think this comes with a bit of maybe what one in our circles would call shadow material. Because like there's is at some points, like for example, this laughter comes, there's immediately, oh no, what if I'm just faking this? And it feels really hurt and very young, maybe
Yeah.
young of age.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, let me handle that one for a second too.
yeah, I love that.
Even if you were faking it, it would be genuine, authentic faking.
I don't understand that.
That's a tricky one, isn't it? Faking it, faking it can't exist by itself.
So it needs an
That's
interpretation.
it's a genuine expression of something.
There's in a way not enough room for faking without interpretation. There's not enough sort of
Mm.
capacity for this to be a thing, or like
Yeah,
this pure element of faking.
yeah. So I get that. I know I sometimes go through where I feel a fraud. I feel like, well, who the fuck are you,
Yeah,
Vince? You're not really, and you're not really awake. That's just a bullshit story you've got. That who the fuck are you to stand up and talk to people? You know,
yeah.
I feel like a fraud. Doesn't mean I am a fraud. Is there such a thing as a fraud? I don't even know if there is. I know what I mean when I say a fraud. Is that am I pretending to be something I'm not? I don't think I am. Could it be interpreted that way by other people? Oh, sure, but that's got nothing to do with me. So the question of is this real or not, isn't a question that makes any sense. If it exists, it's real. Why would I question it? Why would I ask the ground if are you really the ground or are you the sky? Well, there's no question about that, is there? I would never question the ground, whether the ground is really the ground or whether the air is really the air or the sky is really the sky. Or I wouldn't go up to a tree and say, are you really a tree? Just the same as if I was able to be outside of myself and I went up to myself and said, are you really that? It gets a bit tricky if I want to define something, that's another story. But am I what I am? Sure, I am what I am. That's it. Everything is what it is.
And that's just the quality of distrust in there still, right?
Yeah, yeah,
What is that?
yeah.
I
So
think it's just
you're not going to question a tree about being a tree, are you? But you'll question nils about being nils. Or what kind of nils are you? But you are what you are. And you don't even have to know what that is. You don't have to itemize it. You don't have to define it or even describe it. You just are what you are. And you're certainly not what you think you are.
no, not that.
So that's a version of that immutable quality that everything has. It is what it is, and that's immutable. Can't be any other way. You are what you are. Now, we're not going to value that. We're not going to moralize about it. We're not going to say what you are is this or that. You just are what you are. We don't even know what you are. It's irrelevant. We don't need to know because you are that. You are what you are.
Isn't that the same as saying, so what felt graspable to me is this saying, it already happened. Is that the same? And I mean, like
Yeah,
as much in this moment as possible, not like, oh, 2 years ago, like as much as
yeah, I get what
so
you're saying. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It takes me into a different story about that. But yes, it's true to say that by the time you realise anything, it's already happened. So the consequence of that is, what is the point of feeling bad about it? Or even good, what is the point of feeling anything about it? It's already happened. I love that word immutable. It just keeps on popping up. It's in everything, isn't it? If it's already happened, it's immutable.
Very programmer friendly also. They will get that, understand that immediately.
When you understand, and I mean really understand, when you grok that you are not your thoughts, do you think your thoughts will give up? Telling you who you are and how to be?
There's something about that. Uh, in a way, assuming they would already implies them to have a gender and things like that. To have meaning. Um, to have maybe an inherent person in them. What is it? What is it? Yeah, so it doesn't
Yeah,
fit in this very simple already doneness that to assume that they just would change their course of action. It would require a course of action to be there in the first place. At this point, I'm not sure. I'm pretty much on the verge of intellectualizing. There was something that I think too many words would just
mm.
dissolve into more words.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, but be relaxed about it. That's all, because you see it happening, so that's fine.
At the same time, I think I'm a bit afraid of like, oh, these thoughts, they don't stop with what they're doing.
Yeah, we get reliant on them a bit, don't we? Maybe we believe they're really looking after us.
Yeah, and like having this tiger in your room that is maybe useful, but you always have a fight with it. You always keep it in a very delicate distance so it doesn't come around to bite you. And this
Mm.
this You want to keep that tiger, but you also need to have like so much energy expanded to keep that distance that is really tiring. Um,
And here's the great story that can come from that. You spend your lifetime and you've got that tiger on a leash and you know exactly how long the leash is, and you might get very brave sometimes and get about an inch away from the end of the leash, but you never get close enough for it to bite you. You always kind of got that bit of safety there. And then you wake up and you let the tiger off the leash altogether. And instead of it coming and eating you, it pounces on you and just licks you to death.
that's so funny. There's this small space of tension, like this 1 inch away.
So at an inch away, and it's snarling and baring its teeth, and you think that it's threatening you. You think that it's wanting to eat you, but really, what it's doing is saying, "I want to get off and lick you, but I can't." And so, what it's expressing with its baring its teeth and growling is the restrictions that the leash is putting on it. But you interpret it as it being a vicious animal that's going to hurt you. And it's not until after you let it off and you realize that it never had any intentions of hurting you. It was always trying to look after you. It just wanted contact. It just wanted to be close. And it's just a great analogy for your thoughts. So in the end, like in the beginning, what we've got is we've got thoughts that have built a cage, and they're our conditioning, and they're the ones that teach us how to be how we are. And what we want to do is we want to dismantle that cage, or at least open the door of the cage so we can go in and out of it at will. And when we can go in and out of it at will, what we find is that it's actually very useful to have it. But we're not locked in it anymore. So we've changed the analogy a little bit now to thoughts being the bars of a cage. And so we're not going to get rid of them. We can't control whether thoughts come or not, can we?
No,
But
but thoughts being the bar on a cage, uh that's something that has
a resonance for you.
very, yeah, that does feel very, very, yeah. It's like it's a bit like that. It feels like yes, yeah. I can feel that deeply.
Mm.
And then there are a
Well,
lot of stories like about that. Okay.
yeah. So here's an interesting one. If you imagine that the cage has got a roof and three sides, and the fourth side is a door. The three sides and the roof are made up by thoughts about you. And the doorway is where that's not relevant. So when you can open the door of the cage and go out, none of those thoughts have any effect on you. But sometimes it's quite reasonable and quite relevant for them to have an effect. For example, when you go to the shops, it's perfectly reasonable that you present to the cashier as a person. Now, you know you're not a person. You know that you're just a bunch of responses. But it's perfectly reasonable in our society for you to appear normal. And when that's happening, it's like you're in the cage, even though the door's open, and you can go out if you want. But it's quite functional for you to be in the cage when you're relating to other people who don't know about this stuff. So you're never going to forget how to do all of that. It's just that internally, mostly internally, you just won't be doing that all the time. Whereas now, or prior to this stuff starting, you did that all the time.
It may sound weird, but it's also so boring. Like, oh,
It is.
that is so boring to seek and chase after.
Mm.
Not really trying to dismiss it, but it doesn't have much glamour.
Yeah. Well, you've been doing it for a long time. You're very practiced at it. It takes no effort to do it.
I guess what doesn't stick, yes, is yeah, this maybe an assumption that okay, like we have this in a very simplified world that is sort of the body even agrees to that, senses agree to that. There's just maybe assumption that okay, but within that where our like feelings like this feels right, this feels like that, coming from like there's not an answer to that. Is there something?
Mm.
Bit of excitement around but I haven't figured out where that's coming from. Maybe it's not even all that important, but it's so interesting. I mean, likely I know this entire I could probably write books about spiritual stuff that would be what I mean is like I've consumed a lot of it. I can see like the
Mm.
end answer. I can give answers to that intellectually easily. But sincerely, there's
Yeah, but there's that. Yeah,
like it does come up, doesn't it?
sure. It's a tricky one because it's very familiar, it's
Mm.
very safe, but it's also very boring. And where we're headed is into the unfamiliar or the unknown. And in the old way of looking at things, that would make it dangerous. But you're about to discover that it's not dangerous. In fact, the old way was much more dangerous. But only it's not an intellectual thing that trust that it's not dangerous. That can only come with experience. So each time you venture into a new area, you will become familiar with it, and you'll also recognize that it doesn't have danger. It might have excitement, but not danger. And in most cases, danger doesn't exist as danger. So if you were at a theme park and you were standing at the bottom of the Big Dipper and your whole system is really activated, are you experiencing excitement or fear?
I think it's like like on one level, it's the same overcharge of energy and intensity, and
Okay, that's a good answer. Yeah. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be either excitement or fear. That depends on the story that is attached to the whole thing. But yes, stimulated nervous system, that's a good answer. That's what it is. And if you've been on the Big Dipper before and you enjoyed it, it'll be excitement. If you've been on the Big Dipper before and you shit yourself, then it'll be fear. But the reality is that without the story, it's just an excited nervous system. So notice the introduction of thoughts again. Thoughts are the story component that we add to the sensations that the body goes through and that give the sensations meaning. And without the thought, they're just sensations. They don't have any meaning. They may be the result of some trigger, but they don't have a meaning in and of themselves. They're just sensations. It absolutely takes a story to give it meaning. And that's what thoughts do. They add a meaningful story to everything that we experience. But they're
then
habitual
it sounds a
animals.
bit. Can you repeat that last sentence, please?
They're a habitual animal, thoughts.
Yeah.
They come up with the same thing that they always come up with.
They do. And then it's interesting. It's a bit out of the blue, and I wouldn't say on. To me, it's a bit without context. But even like that word meaning, it's just a word. It's just letters, and then sensation. It's just surprise. Like when I say things like it felt right to dot dot dot. There's also this assumption of meaning, maybe, and then you look at meaning and it's just meaning and a sensation. It's very there's this magic component. It's not so grand.
Mm.
It's not, like what was there in the first place about it, even. And then just listening to thoughts, it's also interesting, or not acting on thoughts, but listening to them is interesting because you listen to the thoughts. So it's as if someone, like if someone else is speaking to you, and you don't need someone else to have thoughts, right? But listening to them, it's clearly not your voice, and sort of you can, in a way, or the default way is like, yeah, they're coming from me, and then listening is like, this can't come from me. I'm listening to it. But okay, the last part is too much.
It's a good one though. But I would say it's important to appreciate that coming from me, who or what is this me? So you can see that they come out of the mouth of this organism. But it's a stretch to call this organism me.
There's something about it. It's a bit like someone wrote down an equation you have to study, and you know it's right or something, and you just stare holes in it because you can sort of feel there is something clicking. There's something about it that just very circular, very very complete. So, and some thoughts are resisted, and I'm just gonna go on a limb and say this can be listened to the same way as well, likely.
Is there something about those thoughts that you can't listen to them?
So they get tagged as okay, but I don't want this. This is not fitting the picture. I am resisting that. I shouldn't be resisting that on top of that.
Mm. But you're just painting there, aren't you? You're just drawing pictures. I do, I don't. They're all just pictures, just drawings. What is immutable about you? What characteristics would you describe as immutable?
It's just listening. There's not even me to be found here. And it still is, it has this quality of this will, this feels like it will all tie in together. It's quality about, I don't understand it yet, maybe. It's not really understanding. It's, huh?
Hold on to what you're experiencing now. That's your answer. You can't really put your finger on anything, can you? When we're talking about you, are we talking about that body, that organism? Are we talking about ideas? Are we talking about, what are we talking about? It's really hard to get you. You can't really settle on anything, can you? Yet we can say there's something. We just don't know what it is. We just can't define it, really.
It's a bit like what I said with the meaning. There was a surprise that meaning is like a word and a sensation.
Yeah.
And this like, what was it even that was magic about it or special about it, and beyond what even?
Yeah. So can you get a little bit close to whatever? Isn't it interesting?
There's an unresolved quality here. I
Yes.
describe it as that.
Yes. What if I said there's an unresolvable quality? Not just unresolved like yet to be resolved, but one that's impossible to resolve.
Yeah, it feels a bit shimmering, maybe. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
around say the heart, but it's also like spreading to the hand. There's this at the last second looking away thing, maybe. What is that?
So what's the flavor of that looking away? Is that avoidance or is it something else? What would you call it? What's the flavor of it? Is it just saying, I give up?
It's a bit like absolutely not. Um,
Hmm.
Like listening to thought, it's like almost fully listened to, and then there comes this absolutely not. Nope. Like the last second of the audio is cut off, and you know what it means anyway by sort of special mechanism. There's this like magic thing again here. This and it can't really be made sense of if you look at it too closely.
Now that's an important one. Can't really make sense of it. Is the way a huge amount of this stuff is. It just doesn't live in the world of sensibility. And why do we need to make sense of it? Do we want to bring it back into the familiar? Do we want to control it? Or have control with it? Can we leave it in that unresolved, mystical, confused, chaotic state?
Right. Coming from the other side of the equation, there's this movement of pushing to complete this, which is which has like the
That's,
energy of a bulldozer.
yeah. If I said the promise of satisfaction, does that fit for you?
Yes. 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 Yeah. Yes. 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 I don't even know what I'm talking about. It's just no doubt about it. Just
Yep.
I've read somewhere the phrase full bodily yes. Like, I have no idea what I'm talking about. That feels right. Promise of satisfaction. Whenever it's like this is the entire body sort of filled and felt with that. And there's just also like part of this is like part of this promise, this feeling, promise of satisfaction is pointing to. So just, like around that feeling, there's this mechanism of trying to be done with it, trying to fit it nicely into a drawer and close the drawer.
Yep. Relax and rest. So it's not just satisfaction, or satisfaction might be involved in completion.
Vision.
which is another illusion, of course.
Sometimes things feel like they should be understandable, or a
Mm,
problem seems like it should be solvable. Like, oh, I have these sort of restrictions, maybe let's call them. There should be a perfect solution for that. And it's just a bit of an easier analogy to maybe see through. But it's like, there are no real solutions. I'm sorry, mate. It's gonna hurt.
yeah.
It's gonna itch somewhere,
Yeah, but we've been
and you will
promised all our
eventually,
life.
yeah.
We've always been promised that there'll be a solution. We've just got to look hard enough.
And then this promise of satisfaction. It's also like this. There's this, maybe we call it an assumption. It does have this intuitive flavor of an assumption with it. Like this should be solvable. This should be understandable. This should be.
Mm.
It would be noble to understand this, and noble in the way like a tricky part of maybe like some novel math someone's trying to teach you and you don't understand it, it's all alien, and at some point you get through it and there's this acceptation that you can get through it and have this this
Yes.
is how this all fits together moment. It's so promising. Again, just talking about it, there's this honest movement like of me wanting to tell you like this can be solved. Like we just I always want to rile you up like, oh come
Yeah.
on, this is solvable, no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be so great to resolve that?
Well,
There's
I can
energy.
tell you quite clearly. I can tell you the resolution to a problem is not to find a solution, but rather to make the problem irrelevant. That maybe doesn't give you any satisfaction, but that's how it will happen for you.
But that's the boring way
Problems
there
don't
again, right?
resolve; they become irrelevant.
I don't know where it was, but there was a line in the song about caring and not caring. And there is this, I think, or something in me feels spoken to. There's this quality of, I can't help it, I don't care. And at the same time, of course, like in someone might tell me this problem, and I feel like I care so much about you. You're telling me about all these words, and I'm listening to you, but I can't help but don't care. And at the same time, I care so much about you.
Mm.
Like full on loving. Sorry, I don't care. And I'm like, I'm still listening with all your heart. This feels almost like an archetype of going through of being with um, of being with um, anything maybe. It's almost like a want to tell you or something. I want to find a sentence using that word compassion just for the satisfaction of using that word compassion to describe what is felt very bodily here. And it's really connected to something. That's so fun. Right.
So how would you describe what compassion is? It's not a test. There's no right or wrong. Just what comes to mind for you.
There's this quality of can't help but love you. And not minding it. Not mind so don't so not minding it so little that it's really absent, this mindness. You wouldn't even call it I don't mind it. It's actually just this very simple, I don't care but love you. I can't help but love you. I wouldn't change that. And not really even demonstrating that.
Mm.
But also definitely not having not preventing yourself from acting from that.
Hmm. So it's not dependent on anything external, eh?
Yes, yes, there's not even a subject about that, but it's felt so much right here, right now.
Mm. Mm.
And then there's still like, and then it just came, and there's still this like, oh, it's almost too much. It's almost, what do we do with this? What do we, how do we deal with this now? How can we put this neatly in our Lego house and put bricks over it and forget about it?
Can you imagine that it's possible that we don't need to do that? That we can just let it be unconfined?
Yeah, to this part, it's really, oh, but it's so much. Oh, hey, there's this anticipation of
Right.
war, maybe again. Like there's, oh, someone's gonna draw a little blood from you. The doctor's gonna draw a little blood, and you make a whole fuss about it. Oh, but this is so much, so hurtful. Like this anticipation, this is again in here. Like, yeah, it's there, it's much. Hello, Dom. Uh, but it's not that much. This anticipation, this is something else, maybe something distinct. And yeah, we can't have that forever, maybe. But it's also irrelevant to like saying we can't have that forever. We can't contain that energy forever. On top of the energy, that is too much. The energy itself, yeah, okay, that can be here forever, maybe. Frankly, I lost a bit of touch with that feeling and got into this just generating the next word and generating the next word right now. But it's also not entirely untrue, even though uh, it was a bit of a rambling towards the end.
Mm. There's stuff in it though. Yeah.
In
Can you see
practice
how?
and felt,
Yeah, go.
yeah, in practice and in felt reality, it is more fearful than this maybe too enthusiastic speech I just had now. In practice, it's a bit more um, making it so small and cowering. Yeah.
managing it.
Yeah.
Mm. There's a lot going on in there, isn't there?
Yes, actually.
Mm. One of the things that seems to happen in these meetings a bit is that stuff gets poked at and gets stirred up, and then afterwards there's a settling down and a integration of some stuff and so on. So yeah, nothing to focus on even. Just allow things to happen, see what settles out, see what questions come up, and go again.
It's very right. That feels very right. Also to just, after sort of shaking the fish tank, let it all settle a bit.
Mm, mm, yeah. Well, thank you, Nils. That was good stuff.
From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Mm, you're
Yeah.
welcome.
I think I need to use another bathroom very quick. I'll be back in a quick moment.
No
Yeah.
worries. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
How are you, Leonard?
Quite fine. Just a moment, I will close the window because there are people working outside. Yeah, I actually did some notes because I found it very interesting, this thing about authenticity. Um, because I think if someone said, I'm always 100% authentic, then you would find this person very inauthentic. And on the other hand, you could say, like, it's impossible to be not authentic because even if you fake something, that's the authentic expression of what is happening in this situation. And then also, I think the idea, am I being authentic or not, is tied to this idea of, I don't know, being honest
Mm,
or like not caring about what other people think about you. But then, like, to be honest means somehow to say something that is true. And how can you be sure that what you think or what you're feeling is true?
yeah,
So,
it's a tricky one, isn't it? Yeah.
and then it also implies kind of a choice that I can choose if I'm going to be honest or not in this situation. And yeah, and then I also think, for example, from my experience, like it happens many times that I'm feeling a bit grumpy, and then there are grumpy thoughts coming up about the people around me. But if I have to react because someone talks to me, I'm not going to be grumpy. I'm going to be friendly. And then the response of the other person is also friendliness, and that also changes my thoughts. So then the question is like, am I faking something? Because the thoughts and the behavior is not
Yeah,
like it doesn't match. So
yeah. It's a tricky one, isn't it? So
yeah.
let's say you were feeling grumpy
Hmm.
and somebody said, "Oh, good morning. It's a lovely morning, isn't it?"
Hmm.
And you respond with, "Yes, yes, it's lovely."
Hmm.
Does that mean because you were feeling grumpy a second before and now
Hmm.
you're behaving in a socially acceptable way, that's a description, that you didn't mean to feel socially acceptable?
Hmm.
Does it mean you're denying that you were grumpy? Can you be grumpy and the other way at the same time?
Hmm.
Probably can.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's interesting, you know. I've long held this view that people who lie
Hmm.
are telling the truth with their lies.
Hmm.
That people who are inauthentic are authentic about their inauthenticity.
Hmm.
So it gets very difficult to say that one or the other exists.
Hmm.
They just become stupid descriptions of something. What's actually going on is complex. So we've all been brought up, I guess we haven't noticed it, but we've all been brought up to believe that life is binary, that you're either happy or you're grumpy. You can't be both. Well, you can be both. Now, maybe you can't be both at exactly the same moment, but you can oscillate between them very quickly. So life is not as simplistic
Hmm.
as society would have us believe. So whether you're authentic or not, whether you're a fraud or not, as I was explaining earlier, they're irrelevant.
Hmm.
What they are is what they are. That is
Hmm.
a wondering about it or an expression of it or something, but no words can touch you.
Hmm.
If I say, well, you are Leonard Wolf, you could say, yeah, that's accurate. You could also say, no, that's just my name.
Hmm.
You see, they're words. They're not anything to do with the organism other than a
Hmm.
convenient label that you carry around for your driver's license or your bank account or whatever, you know.
Hmm.
Essentially they don't touch you. What you are is just an unfathomable mystery.
Hmm. Yeah, and then there is, I mean, many times it feels like there is a connection between thoughts and actions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but for example, yeah, I'm feeling quite relaxed at the moment because there was like a compulsive behavior that I was observing it for quite a long time. And then I know in which situation it usually shows up, and that's usually when I'm stressed. Um, and then I could already like observe it and see like, okay, there is the feeling of being stressed, and then thoughts turn up, maybe I should engage in this behavior again, and then I could still like um, not do anything against it because it was just like sucking me in. Like I could
Mm.
really think, no, I'm not going to do this now, but then I would do it anyway. So, um, and now it's like really interesting because, yeah, the problem is when I was engaging in that behavior, it gave me even more restlessness, and then this clarity would diminish more and more and more. And now it's really like it didn't show up for quite a while, but um, it feels so nice to be free from it and to have this relaxing, yeah, this relaxation and clarity, and yeah, to be really free from it. That I think um, it's not necessary to talk about, to think about it a lot, because there is so much enjoyment of the opposite of this behavior that I think this will be enough to not really
Mm.
be pulled back into it. But I can't know. But
Yeah.
anyway, I think it's like it wouldn't be too dramatic if it happened, but um, but I'm still like really enjoying it because there's yeah, it feels just like very light, and
Mm.
not that I would have to really like okay, like not that I would think I have to use willpower or something like that, or to be careful or to be
Yeah.
pre
Yeah. You can be
yeah.
relaxed around it. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm. So how would you summarize that, Leonard? How would you say everything that you just said in a couple of sentences? How would you, what's happened for you? Stuff arose and
Mm, I think it really has to do with seeing that it's only thought, and or okay, it could also be like a physical impulse or something, but mm, I feel I can really surrender to that moment without reacting, and
yeah.
it seems like very clear to me at the moment and pretty easy, and it wasn't like this before.
Mm. Oh,
Like
well,
there was
that,
still
yeah,
effort involved, and now it's
right.
a bit more effortless, I would say.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, good summary. Yeah. Yeah. So let me emphasize a point that you made that I think
Mm.
you're saying, and that is that it doesn't really matter what it was,
Yeah.
but the response to that, well, it's not even a response to that something has adopted a slightly different attitude towards it.
Mm. but I can't explain how that
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
It just
And no
happened.
need to either. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm. Yeah, in the beginning, we get somewhat obsessed with being able to describe and explain clearly, and then later, well, it doesn't matter. It becomes irrelevant.
Mm.
Good stuff. Thank you, Leonard.
And I think, I mean, before that, there was a period when it was already a bit more effortless, but then there was like, ah, no, you're just talking yourself into it.
Ah,
You're faking or something. And yeah.
it's a bit funny, isn't it? We sometimes feel guilty, or we feel something's not right with the effortlessness of
Mm.
it. Or yeah,
Yeah, I think it's also this story about like, no, but if it can't be that effortless, you know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. You got to earn it. Yeah, yeah,
mm, you have to
yeah. That's a
work
big
hard
one. Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
Mm. How about you, Dom? How's things been for you?
Yeah, good. Not much to report. Um,
Well, that's a good
actually, it's
report.
one. Yeah. Um, things are ticking along. I had that screening the other night, which was great, and then I went to the doctor. I've been doing some checks on like hormonal stuff, testosterone, things like that, which ended up found out that it's actually quite it's above normal because I was getting this sort of fatigue, and they've done all kinds of checks, and basically they're like, there's nothing, can't find anything, everything's normal, blood pressure's normal, everything's great, blah blah blah. So
Yeah,
he
so it's got
started
to be
asking me about
psychological then, eh?
he started asking me about psychological things. He was like, are you having any depression? And I was because I've had that kind of issue in the past, but I'm very much not in that at the moment. So I was like, no, he's like, any issues with your wife? And no, we're getting on great, and blah blah blah. And then um, he said, because you present a kind of flat aspect, meaning, I guess, that I come across as a bit flat or down or something. And I was quite sort of like slightly rattled by it because I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
oh,
That's not the way
you
you
know what I
saw
mean?
yourself. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. So I'm sort of like people see me as kind of flat or down or something.
Hmm.
And that sort of bummed me out for a few hours, because I was like, oh, what does, the stories that kicked off, I could see all the
Hmm.
stories about, oh, ideas about who I think I am or how I think I come across. And I could see all of that sort of like, from
Hmm.
one kind of almost offhand comment from a GP. Um, and even talking about it, I can feel a bit of emotion. There's some kind of emotion related to that. I guess because of having a certain history of, having a bit of depression, anxiety, whatever, all those labels, and like, so it stirred up all of that stuff. Um, and it seems to have some energy behind it, you know. Um, but I just watched it flare up and happen, and kind of didn't grip me as much as maybe it would have done. But I was a
Hmm.
little surprised about how affected I was by just one little comment.
Hmm.
Um,
Did it ever occur to you anywhere along the line there that that effect was a brilliant expression of identification?
definitely, yeah, yeah. I realized that he'd sort of touched on a
Yeah.
story structure that I'm sort of holding on to or something,
Okay.
or that I didn't quite realize that I was so attached to.
Mm.
Um, then I felt a little bit sad or something. It was kind of
Hmm.
funny, it was like it just there was some sadness behind it as well. Maybe
Right.
whatever it is trying to protect or something.
Yeah.
Um, whatever that structure is trying to sort of block, uh, you know.
What about this one? At, had you been unrealized, feeling that you were beyond that stuff?
I suppose there's part of me that hoped I'd moved into a different stage where that sort of stuff wasn't. I mean, I guess what it is, I suppose, maybe put it another way, is that you know, there's this identification we've talked about quite a few times, which is about not being seen as weak and all of that sort of stuff. And there's also this kind of desire not to be seen as like down or heavy or having sort of
Mm.
or overly serious or depressed or something like that. It's like, I mean, if someone hints at like, oh, that you seem a bit X, it's like,
Mm.
oh no, I don't want
Yeah.
to be
Mm.
that. So obviously there's an attachment to some idea of myself that I don't want to be or I do want to be.
Mm. I mean, we can step back and we can look at this and we can see that you are so complex that even you don't know what's going on beneath the surface of
Yeah,
yourself.
right.
Right?
Absolutely.
So how could anybody else have any idea about what's really going on for you? And yet we react in the way we do when somebody says, "Oh, you seem dot dot dot." Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe it
Yeah.
was a bit heavier because it was a GP and you kind of have some respect or some idea that he should know. Well, of course, he's done all of 5 days psychology in his whole training, so he doesn't really know anything about that stuff. But somehow he gets a bit more authority, doesn't he?
Yeah. And I mean, I've met him. I spoke to him on the phone once and had a 5 minute chat with him. So it's not like we know each other very well.
Mm, mm,
Um,
yeah.
but even, like when I was doing the whole screening thing and all that, it was, a lot of my fears were around how I came across in the Q&A and things like that.
Mm,
And also wanting to feel like I didn't want to talk in a way that made the film sound too heavy or like, it was like
yeah, yeah,
I was
concerned about.
carrying
Yeah,
that it's the same story that I'm sort of like
yeah,
trying to,
yeah.
it's the same uh network of stories that are sort of like that I'm reacting to.
Mm.
Um,
So here's the thing. It's a great story to think that we can get beyond that altogether.
mm,
But the reality is that we're incredibly complex and that our personality, which has been shaped over lots and lots of years and lots of reinforcement, is going to persist. So, what's different now to before is that once upon a time, you probably would have got into a fairly heavy state when the doctor said that to
yeah,
you. Now you're
yeah,
kind of seeing it as, well, there's this and there's that, and so you're looking at various elements of it in a different way to the way you used to.
yeah.
But
It's
it
much
doesn't mean that
lighter.
yeah. What I'm saying though is it's an unrealistic expectation to think that we can be totally removed from those old ways of being. They're going to sneak back
Absolutely.
in until they don't.
Yeah.
And maybe
Yes.
they'll
Agreed.
never don't. You know, they'll
Yeah.
always be there a
Yeah.
little bit, you know, but you see them.
Yeah.
And even to get affected by it is perfectly reasonable. And then again, you see it. And so you don't
Yeah.
spiral off into a whole lot of other stuff about it, but you see that stuff. How people take you, you know, you're always going to be seen as a fairly serious person because you don't laugh that often. But I've seen you
Yeah.
laugh, you know, and so, you know, you can, yeah. But other people's opinion of you is just their opinion of you, and they're based on their history and all sorts of stuff, and it's really irrelevant to how you are. But the
Yeah.
fact that it got to you, that's worth looking at. You know, that's in you, isn't it? That got to you. So
Yeah.
there's a bit of room yet to move beyond being affected by what other people say. Of course, we'll still
Yeah.
be affected
Absolutely.
by it, you know, yeah. If somebody came up to me and told me that I was an idiot, I'm sure I would have a defensive reaction, but I would see it pretty quickly and not get
Yeah.
carried away by it. I'm not likely to want to fight them over it.
No.
Yeah. The other thing that struck me is the 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 magnetic pull of history. How things used to be present a very real fear about how they might be in future.
Yeah.
And if you'd never ever been depressed or anxious, then you would just laugh it off. But because it's been there in your past, you go, oh God, I hope it doesn't come back. You know, that's just
Yeah.
perfectly natural. Yeah. I can't get over. I'm blown away. I'm awestruck by the complexity of us as people. We are all so incredibly beyond possible explanation or description. The complexity of us all is just amazing. And amazing. It's not just amazing, it's really amazing. You know, it's just wow, isn't it crazy? How do we stand up and walk? You know, how do we digest food? It's just phenomenal that it can happen. Yeah, and includes all of these other things like what we think of ourselves. God, that's amazing. That one. Yeah. Yeah. So I want to say this. There's a kind of a serious. Don't try and make sense of this. There's a serious, light-hearted thing here that says it doesn't matter what turns up. It doesn't matter what context we put it in. It doesn't matter how seriously we take it or don't take it. We can't really know all about it. We can only just touch the surface of what might be happening. You know? But we can be kind of sure there's a feeling that I can trust that whatever turns up is an authentic expression of something. And I don't have to know what it is. Sometimes I'll be let in on the story, and other times I won't. You know, but essentially, it means what it means is I'm not going to resist anything. I'm not going to say no to anything. It's all yes, all the way. It's yes, 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 whatever turns up. And even the seeming shitty stuff is big in the yes, in that it's the showing up of it is a healthy thing. It's there for the purpose of being expelled or expressed or just acknowledged, whatever. Yeah, it has value. I want to come up with something that's helpful for you, but I don't feel helpful at the moment. I don't know what to say. Yeah.
It's just nice to talk around it and sort of, you know, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's value in expression. There's that
Yeah,
movement of getting it out that
that's
does
right.
something quite magical. Yeah. Mm. Well, thank you, Dom.
Yeah, thank you.
You look like you're busy with something there, Jayan. You're muted now.
Yeah. Hi, Vince.
Hi.
I
can
just
hear
heard
you.
my name. I didn't hear what you said. Did you ask me something? Or...
No, I just said you look like you're very busy with something.
Oh, no. It seems there's a little bit of thoughts got a bit more freedom in the last few days. Just freedom to say whatever they want to say.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah. I want to say this, and I don't know how legitimate I don't know about it, but I got an impression from somewhere that you are very verbose at LU. That you're doing lots and lots of talking and lots of answers and lots of complex expressions. And part of me wants to say to you, keep it short and concise. Summarize things might be better, not just for others, but also for yourself. That we can get tied up in the minutia of detail trying to express things, and it can get a bit confusing sometimes. Whereas if you take it and summarize it, you kind of pick out just the important points and do it that way. It might be anyway. That's just I just felt I wanted to say that to you. That's all. Mm.
Oh, that's very useful. I felt that way as well. When I read, it was yesterday. Yesterday I got a new guide allocated,
Mm-hmm.
and so I asked for a couple of names and your name and then Paul and Stacy. I don't know who Stacy is, but I heard her name from these meetings. So I
Right.
asked,
Yes.
and then she became my guide.
Good. Yeah. Well, I know Stacey now, and I'll tell you, she doesn't like conversation.
Ah,
Keep it
I got that
very
feedback. Yeah.
keep it very very short and absolutely relating to experience
Yes.
with
Yes.
her. Yeah.
Yeah. I got the direct feedback and I read what I wrote, and I found that, yeah, it's too much of stuff that I wrote.
Yeah.
When I look at my experience, there is nothing I can say except labels for it. But how come I wrote so much? I felt it
Mhm.
that when she was right, absolutely right in pointing that out.
Yeah. And the exploration of that stuff for you may well reveal exactly what you need to see.
Mhm.
Mm. It's funny, isn't it? We do tend to confound ourselves with the complexity of our thinking and so on.
Yes,
And we think we're being clear because we're just touching on every possible detail that's there.
exactly. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's right. So right. Yes. Even during this meeting, I was thinking of what to say. And I was just noticing what all things come up in so many different things. What problem should I present? What insight,
Yeah.
what insight should I say that I got? It's too complex to understand, but it just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah. 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 And then and that's I mean that's an inherent nature of the mind, but when we do it a lot, it gets very good at that.
Mhm.
But it keeps us away from something more fundamental.
Yeah. And
But like
there is a heaviness to that activity I felt, heaviness and seriousness,
mm,
as feeling like I need to get this done or I need to attain it, something to be perfect, to be right, that kind of energy to that thinking.
mm, yeah, that's the old world.
Mhm.
Success is very important.
Yes.
Achievement. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to feel useful.
Mm. But I can say this, I can know nothing about you, and yet you have value for me. And if I knew everything about you, you might have less value than that. I'm getting the signal from my wife. It's time to wind up.
All right.
Mm.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Jayan. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Greetings to your wife.
Yeah.
Lots of love.
Thanks, Vince. See you later,
Bye.
guys.